Good day everyone, I am Wendell Abarquez of CTU Barili Campus taking up Bachelor of Secondary Education major in English. And for today's video, we will be discussing about misplaced and dangling modifiers. And to formally start our discussion for today, let me first define to you what is a modifier and what are these two common types of modifier errors. So, modifiers are words, phrase, or clause that modifies another word, phrase, or clause. Sometimes we use modifiers incorrectly, leading to an incorrect and confusing sentences. The two common types of modifier errors are called misplaced modifier and dangling modifiers. If either of these two errors occurs, readers may no longer be able to read smoothly. Instead, they become disordered trying to figure out what the writer meant to say. As we all know, a writer's goal must always be to communicate clearly and to avoid distracting the readers with strange sentences and awkward sentence construction. So now, since we already know the two common types of modifier errors, let us identify them each and how they differ from each other. So let's begin with the first type of modifier error as what we call as the misplaced modifier. A misplaced modifier is a word, a phrase, or a clause that is improperly separated from the word it modifies or describes. Because of the separation, sentences with this error sound awkward, ridiculous, and confusing. Furthermore, they can be downright illogical. Now, to help you understand more what is misplaced modifier, let's take these two examples. So now we have our first example as what you can read on your screens. He wore a hat on his head that was too large. So I know that if you would understand this sentence, this will sound very humorous because it seems like our modifier here that was too large, a phrase modifier, is it seems like it was describing the head and not the hat, which is literally wrong. It is not what our writer is meant to say. So we can see the misplaced modifier here that was too large, and we all know that the writer refers to the hat that is too large for his head, not that his head was too large as what the first sentence implies. So we need to place our modifier here in the right position in the sentence to clearly modify what it needs to modify. So since this modifier is describing the hat itself and not the head, so we need to rearrange the sentence to give the clear description, the clear message that it wants the readers to convey. And now, as what you can see, we have our corrected sentence, and it is now in a logical and a correct formation of ideas. So now we have our second example of a misplaced modifier, and as what you can read on your screens, we have they bought a robot for my younger brother they call Shadow. So if you would understand the sentence, it seems like my brother is called Shadow. So but that is not what our writer is meant to say. The modifier shadow here is meant to modify the robot as a name of the robot and not the name of the brother. So this is another example of a misplaced modifier. To correct this sentence, we can say, they bought a robot they call Shadow for my younger brother. Now, since we already know the first type of modifier errors, let us take a look with its last type, and this is what we call as dangling modifiers. So what is a dangling modifier? A dangling modifier is a word, phrase, or clause that describes something that has been left out of the sentence. When there is nothing that a word, phrase, or a clause can modify, the modifier is said to dangle. To let you understand more what is dangling modifier, let's take a look with these examples. Our first example here states that walking in the stage, the audience got amazed. So this is a dangling modifier because it left the readers thinking who is walking in the stage. The writer should write the name of the person walking. The modifier walking in the stage has no word, phrase, or clause to modify. Thus, it is considered a dangling modifier. To correct this, we can say, as Catriona was walking in the stage, the audience got amazed. In this sentence, we already know now who is walking in the stage. Last example we have, walking home at night, the trees look like spooky aliens. So this is another example of a dangling modifier because our modifier here has left no word or phrase or a clause to modify. To correct this dangling modifier, we can say, as Alan was walking home at night, the trees looked like spooky aliens. So in this sentence, our modifier has now something to modify, which is Alan as our subject. Now to end our discussion for today, let me give you this reminder. Remember that a misplaced and dangling modifiers make sentences hard to understand. Misplaced and dangling modifiers cause distraction to the readers. So that ends up our discussion for today. Thank you for listening and patiently spending your time with me. I hope to see you in my next video. God bless and goodbye.